So listening to this video, it means you have made it through the first stop sign, and now it's time to take all that rough draft that you just wrote down into your notebook and to actually get it into a document. You are going to maintain your own document for this piece, so go ahead and click on the thing that says Link to Inquiry Lab Form. And when you get it, you will see a blank lab report template that will basically be what you use for the remainder of your time in middle school. So you'll also use this in 8th grade as well. When you get this document, go ahead and say make a copy, and I want you to rename it with your first name. So mine is Amy Bell, and I'm going to call it Amy Bell's Lab Report on Kinetic Energy Transformations. All right, whatever it may be, go ahead and put it in the drop file so that it would always be shared with me, and then hit OK. All right, so now that you've got the lab template created, you'll notice in this first box here, this is all the work that you just did with your partner on your either on your lab table or in your notebook. Go ahead and fill this in, your first and last name, the name that you want to title this lab. You can call it whatever you want to. It can be really specific to your investigation. Go ahead and put in what lab question you have come up with, what's your independent variable and unit, please, your dependent variable and unit, and then put in your constants. Try to aim for about 10 things that you're going to keep the same in your lab setup so that you don't have anything that's altering your data. Your control group is the group that we consider to be what we call a quote-unquote normal. So we can talk more about that later. That one is not so important to me. Eventually, you will create a model showing me what happened in your lab and how that energy changed form, very much like the model we did at the beginning of class today. Eventually, that will be done on a piece of paper or in a notebook or on your table. A photo will be taken and you will put the model in here, but you don't need to do that right now. Next thing you'll do is you'll start to put a data table together, and I want you to do a data table directly into this document and save yourself a lot of time. First thing you do is type in a title, something like data table, or actually you could just leave this one up here, and you could take out the multiple trials part and say data table, energy, kinetic energy of a rubber band when it's being launched, right? When launched, whatever it may be. And then go ahead and go to, up here you go to table and click insert, and you can actually select exactly how many columns and exactly how many rows you need, and it imports it right there. Then you can fill in all your different titles, you fill in your data. If you decide, oops, actually I need to delete one of my columns, I don't need that many columns, oops, I need to insert a row above, you can insert a row above. You can do all kinds of adjustments with this tab right here. And then you can make that look as pretty as you need to later on, okay? Once you've got your data table in there, then go ahead and just sort of delete that extra space so that your graph later can be imported, all right? So your graph will come in later. Don't worry about that right now. I'll teach you how to do that at a separate point. But later, after all of the data has been collected and analyzed, you will do your CER directly into this document. You will type your claim that will answer your specific research question. You will start giving me your evidence in sentence form. Then you will do your reasoning, all right? And then you're going to actually type in any errors that happened and how you would revise and make your lab better in the future. So this second page is probably the most important to the teacher, but it's also the part that you're probably going to want to overlook because you're going to be tired and you're not going to want to think about the lab anymore. So resist that. You don't need to worry about it right now, but know that it is there. So as you're doing your lab and if you're noticing errors, you might want to just put them in as bullet points. So one of the errors you might have noticed was incorrect and inconsistent measurements, something like that. Or maybe you noticed wind was causing car to move without force acting on it because the wind was getting in the way of your data collection. Who knows? Whatever's happening, go ahead and jot it in there now, and then later you can turn those into full-fledged sentences. All right, so that's the plan. Keep this to yourself. This one is yours. It's not for partners. The beginning part can be identical to your partners. I would imagine that this part would be identical. The table, the graph, and the model would be identical at the end of the lab report. But this part will be done totally on your own, and it will be 100% unique to you. It should be your writing. All right? Thanks very much.